How about defensive side of the ball for Carolina? Derek Brown has established himself as one of the best defensive tackles in the league. It's such an interesting group of defensive tackles that have entered the league over the last 3 years. Derek Brown might be the only good starter that college has given to the NFL in 3 years, off the top of my head. Derek Brown being the guy in the middle. Frankie Louvu, one of the most underrated players in the NFL. Shaq Thompson, pretty good linebacker. I think my question, like a few other teams, it's going to be the secondary. J.C. Horn, when he's healthy, looks really, really good. They bring in Von Bell, Xavier Woods. There are some players who have had success there. Jeremy Chinn's played a lot of different roles there. What are your thoughts on the defense here for the Panthers? Didn't even mention Brian Burns as a pass rusher, too. So there's talent here. They played really well at times last year.
Yeah, and they're sort of shifting the group around a little bit. Derek Brown, Brian Burns, interior edge rusher guy up front. That's a really good duo. They were the team that brought in Justin Houston this year. You know, like every year somebody's going to bring in Justin Houston, a team in need of 40 pressures in the season.
And it upgraded their edge 2 spot.
Yeah,
it upgraded like him as the guy opposite Burns. They kind of needed that.
No, absolutely. Like Justin Houston is a good addition if you have a problem on the edge. He's still able to get it done. Like, I think his career is a little strange in that it felt like we started calling time on it very early. But he just kept, like, he's only, a little bit older than Von Miller, but it feels like he's been old for like a decade at this point. But he's still a good, solid pass rusher, certainly from a situational standpoint. If you can limit him to those plays, I think he's a really good player to have as part of your rotation. And then you have that back 7 group, which a ton of this, I think, depends on whether he can stay healthy and how well J.C. Horn can play, because I think that's still kind of an unknown. Like, his career stats for coverage are still insane, but part of that is just how much he's played and how little he's actually been tested.
When you look at the Panthers depth chart, there's almost all of their starters are making between $4 and $8 million a year. It is now. It's because guys like Derek Brown need to get their big contract, and maybe Frankie Louvu is going to get a big contract, and J.C. Horn will get a big contract. They're about to lock up. Brian Burns is due as well, so they're about to lock up their pillars of the defense going forward. But I think I kind of like how they've built it with a few of those pillars. A guy like Louvu has broken out and just solid around that. Of course, Henry Anderson on the roster as of right now as well.
Injured right now, I think. Right?
Another show favorite. Hopefully Henry can keep playing for another 15 years to have somebody to root for here. So yeah, I don't have strong takes either way for the Panthers, right? They've got, I think Brian Burns is an interesting guy who is still not good against the run, but is a good pass rusher. I think he's one of those guys where we might push back a little bit about him being elite, and the idea that maybe the Rams were going to give up 2 first-round picks for Burns. I'd maybe question that move, or maybe it ended up being good for the Rams to not make that move last year. But Burns is the guy that I know everybody around Carolina thinks is the catalyst and the guy that they build around from a defensive perspective. He's a very good pass rusher. I think they might just have to limit him on early downs as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has elite ability, certainly as a pass rusher, as a speed guy in particular. And, you can debate how much of that can constitute or can make up an elite player. Like, how good can just being a good pass rusher get you in terms of an edge rusher? Or do you need to have the ability to play the run, et cetera? And then the big the interesting thing I think to watch this defense is going to be the deployment of Jeremy Chinn, who's been that sort of chess piece throughout his NFL career, and not the same defense every single year. How are they going to use him? Is he going to still move around a little bit, or is he going to be limited much more to a specific, this is what you're doing, this is your role, you're not going to deviate that much?